Think back to the beginning of that relationship, the one that changed you, not the person you are today, the person you were before you met them. Do you remember how that felt? The messages that came before you even woke up, the way they looked at you, like you were the only person in any room, the plans they made, the future they described, how they told you. I have never felt like this before. You are different from everyone I have ever met. I think I was waiting for you without knowing it. And you felt it too. That electric, overwhelming, almost unbelievable feeling. Like something had finally clicked into place. Like someone had finally seen you. Completely. You were not naive. You were not foolish. Your brain was chemically hijacked. And today, I am going to show you exactly how that happened. Because what you experienced at the beginning of that relationship may not have been love. It may have been love bombing. And the difference changes everything. I'm Dr. Alex, and clinical psychologist. And in today's video, I'm going to give you something that most people spend years searching for. A clear, honest, science-backed explanation of what love bombing is, what it does to your brain, what the warning signs look like, in real life, not in theory. And most importantly, why falling for it does not say anything about your intelligence. It says something about your brain chemistry. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, a lot of things that have not made sense are going to make sense. I want to tell you about a patient. I will call her Sarah, 34 years old, educated, independent, someone who described herself as the kind of person who does not fall easily. She came to me 8 months after a relationship ended, not because she was sad, but because she could not understand why she could not move on. I know it was wrong, she told me. I know he was not good for me. But I cannot stop thinking about the beginning. She pulled out her phone. She had kept the screenshots, months of them, hundreds of messages, good morning texts before sunrise, voice notes in the middle of the day, just to say he was thinking of her, plans for a future that had barely started. And then, slowly, almost invisibly, the messages became shorter. The warmth became colder. The person who had made her feel like the center of the universe began making her feel like she was too much. She spent the next year trying to get back to the beginning, trying to be better, trying to be more, trying to understand what she had done wrong. Sarah had not done anything wrong. Sarah had been love bombed. What is love bombing? So what exactly is love bombing? The term was first used by psychologists studying cult recruitment. Cults would overwhelm new members with affection, belonging, and validation. Before the control began, what researchers have since discovered is that the same pattern appears in intimate relationships. Love bombing is a deliberate strategy of overwhelming a person with affection, attention, and intensity, not to love them, but to create emotional dependency, to attach them, to make leaving feel unthinkable. Research published in the Transcultural Journal of Humanities and Social Sciences in 2025 found that love bombing follows a consistent 3-phase pattern. Phase 1, idealization. They make you feel like you have never been seen this clearly by another human being. Phase 2, devaluation. The warmth withdraws, subtly at first, then less subtly. Phase 3, discard, or what psychologists call hoovering. They pull you back in just enough, just when you were almost free, and the cycle begins again. What it does to your brain. Now here is what I need you to understand. And this is the part that changes everything. Love bombing works, not because you are weak, not because you are naive, but because it chemically hijacks the most powerful reward system in the human brain. Dr. Helen Fisher, biological anthropologist at the Kinsey Institute, spent decades studying the neuroscience of romantic love. Her neuroimaging research showed that early-stage romantic attachment activates the same dopamine-rich reward circuits as addictive drugs, the same pathways, the same intensity. Your brain, at the beginning of love bombing, cannot distinguish between love and cocaine. That is not a metaphor. That is neuroscience. Here is what happens inside your brain when it begins. Dopamine floods your system. The anticipation. Chemical. The one that makes you check your phone before you have even opened your eyes in the morning. Oxytocin surges. the bonding hormone. Released during eye contact, touch, the feeling of being genuinely understood. It creates trust, deep chemical, almost irreversible trust. And serotonin drops, which produces the obsessive quality of early attachment, the constant thinking about them, the inability to focus, the feeling that your mind no longer belongs entirely to you. Now add to this one more ingredient, intermittent reinforcement. When the love bombing begins to shift, when the warmth starts to come and go unpredictably, your brain does not detach. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology confirms that unpredictable reward creates stronger attachment than consistent reward. This is the same mechanism as gambling addiction. The slot machine is more addictive than the vending machine, precisely because you never know when it will pay out. You are not addicted to the person, you are addicted to the hope of returning to the beginning. And that is not a character flaw, that is a chemically hijacked nervous system. The 5 warning signs. So how do you recognize it? Not in hindsight, but in the moment. Here are 5 specific signs that what you are experiencing is love bombing, and not genuine love. Sign 1. The speed feels like destiny. In the first 2 or 3 weeks, they are describing a future. Holidays you will take together. What your children might be named. Where you will live. Healthy attraction moves quickly sometimes. But healthy attraction does not skip the process of actually getting to know each other. Love bombing replaces knowing with intensity. If the pace of commitment feels like it is outrunning the pace of real understanding, pay attention to that. Sign 2. You feel seen, but not known. This is the most important distinction I can give you. A love bomber reflects you back to yourself. They agree with everything you say. They share every interest you mention. They become, almost perfectly, what you were looking for. But here's the thing about genuine love. Genuine love includes friction. It includes moments of difference. It includes someone who sometimes pushes back. If someone in the early stages of a relationship seems to have no opinions that conflict with yours, they are not discovering who you are. They are mirroring you. And that is not love. That is a technique. Sign 3. Isolation moves in quietly. It does not happen suddenly. It starts with how much they want to be with you, which feels like devotion. Then the comments begin. Subtle ones at first. Your friends don't really understand you like I do. Your family seems a bit much. You seem exhausted after seeing them. You deserve more peace. Each comment on its own sounds like concern. Together, they are a wall being built between you and everyone who might tell you what they are seeing. Sign 4. Your boundaries are treated as obstacles. You say no to something, and they do not accept it. Not with anger, not at first. With sadness. With a version of, I thought you felt this too. With just enough hurt in their voice to make your no feel like something you did to them. Research by Setyaningsih and Rakhmawati in 2025 found that love bombing language follows a pattern. Excessive affection shifts into persuasion, then into control, then into dominance. The moment your no becomes a problem to solve, something is wrong. Sign 5. You feel responsible for their emotional state. In a love bombing dynamic, there is a quiet rule. Their happiness is your job. If they are unhappy, you caused it. If they are happy, you earned it. And you begin organizing your entire day around managing their emotional weather. Not because you are codependent, but because you have been trained over weeks or months to believe that this is what love requires. It does not. Why you didn't see it? I want to speak directly to the shame for a moment, because almost every person who has been love bombed asks the same question eventually. Why didn't I see it? And the painful part is what comes next. I should have known. Here is the truth. Research published in 2026 in the journal Narcissistic Abuse. Rehab described the central wound of love bombing not as manipulation, but as the betrayal of manufactured intimacy. The understanding that the person who seemed to see you most completely was performing that recognition as a technique. Most survivors of love bombing struggle to identify themselves as survivors because the story that gets told is, you were deceived by someone who flattered you, and that story feels like embarrassing naivety, not recognizable harm. But here is what I need you to hear. You did not fall for flattery. You fell for someone who studied what you needed and gave it to you precisely and deliberately. That is not a failure of intelligence. That is the consequence of being targeted by someone skilled at targeting. You are not too trusting. You are trusting. And that is not something to fix. That is something to protect. What healing looks like. So what now? If you recognized yourself in any of what I described today, please hear this. The first step is not to stop trusting. The first step is to learn the difference between being seen and being mirrored. Genuine love slows down for you. It asks questions it does not already know the answers to. It sits with your difference and stays. It lets your no mean no. Healing from love bombing is specific. It requires rebuilding trust in your own perception. Because love bombing attacks exactly that. It makes you doubt what you saw, what you heard, what you felt. Therapy, particularly CBT and trauma-focused approaches, has strong evidence for helping survivors rebuild that internal compass. But it also begins with something simpler. It begins with naming what happened. Not, I was in a difficult relationship. Not, we were not compatible. What happened to you has a name. It is called love bombing. And naming it is not about anger. It is not about blame. It is about clarity. Because once you can see the pattern clearly, you cannot unsee it. And that clarity is the beginning of choosing differently. I want to end with something I say to almost every patient who sits across from me after a relationship like this. The intensity you felt at the beginning was real. The connection you believed in was real. Your feelings were real. What was not real was them. Not in the way you deserved. Not in the way you thought. You were not loved. You were managed. And the person who deserves to be loved the way you thought you were being loved is still you. That has not changed. If today's video helped you understand something you have been trying to understand for a long time, share it with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who is still trying to make sense of why they cannot forget the beginning. I'm Dr. Alex. Until next time, keep asking the difficult questions, because understanding your mind is one of the greatest acts of self-respect.